From the 1950s to the 1970s, the Bennington Triangle became infamous as a place where people mysteriously vanished without a trace. No evidence of murder, kidnapping, or even accidents was ever found. Only their personal belongings were discovered, but never their bodies. One of the most shocking disappearances was that of Martha Wright, who vanished near her car in 1946. Eyewitnesses reported that on the evening she disappeared, some passers-by noticed strange lights in the sky. Then, in 1950, another eerie case emerged. Paul Jepson, who disappeared with his dog. His case, like many others, happened in the isolated region of Bennington, Vermont. Locals claim to have seen peculiar lights and, in some instances, alien-like beings.
It pretty much flew, stopped, and then started doing some upward motion and downward motion.
Were these incidents mere coincidences? Or was something supernatural, or even extraterrestrial, happening in this area? The police were unable to find any proof of kidnappings or bodies to suggest accidents or murders. Each case remained an unsolved mystery, and after a period of futile searching, the cases were closed. The area was temporarily shut off to the public until reports of strange lights ceased. Eventually, the region was reopened, and it returned to being a typical place. However, the people who disappeared were never found, nor were there any signs of foul play. Ask the locals and they'll insist that aliens took those people. Could the government be hiding the truth from us? This isn't the only mystery the authorities might be keeping under wraps. In today's video, we'll dive into some of these mysterious incidents that could change your perception of extraterrestrial life. By the end, you might find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about aliens. So let's dive into our second case. Christmas Eve, 1945, in the small town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, started as a typical festive night. George and Jenny Sauter, along with their 10 children, were enjoying the holiday celebrations at home. However, that night turned into a horrifying incident that remains an unsolved mystery to this day: the disappearance of the Sauter children. The Sauter family had decorated their house and looked forward to a peaceful night. But around midnight, Jenny Sauter received a strange phone call. An unknown woman, accompanied by odd background noises, asked peculiar questions. Though it felt unusual, Jenny didn't think much of it and went back to bed. Shortly after, around 1 a.m., Jenny heard a thudding noise on the roof, as if something had landed there. She tried to ignore it and went back to sleep. But within minutes, the house was engulfed in flames. In a state of panic, George and Jenny rushed to wake their children, trying to save as many as they could. While 5 of their children made it out, Morris, 14, Martha, 12, Louis, 9, Jenny, 8, and Betty, 5, were trapped inside their bedrooms. Desperate to save his children, George tried to use a ladder to reach them, but it was missing. He then attempted to start his truck to drive closer to the house, but inexplicably, it wouldn't start. With no other options, he tried to re-enter the house, but the flames had completely consumed it, making any further rescue impossible. The entire family was devastated, and all they could do was try to put out the fire. After some time, the fire brigade arrived, but by the time they managed to extinguish the flames, it was morning. The next day, when the fire was finally out, the authorities declared that the 5 children had perished in the blaze. However, upon examining the debris, no human remains were found. A strange occurrence, since the fire wasn't intense enough to completely incinerate bodies. The Sauter family was deeply upset and in shock, but they held on to the belief that their children had been kidnapped and the fire was merely a distraction. But then the question arose: if it was a kidnapping, who could have done it? During the investigation, it was discovered that their phone lines had been cut much earlier that night. This raised further questions. Who was the person that Jenny spoke to on the phone with such strange behavior? Adding to the mystery, the ladder George wanted to use was found some distance away in a field, a suspicious detail that suggested foul play. Determined to find their children, the Sauter family began a relentless search. During their quest, a local resident reported seeing a bright light and a disc-shaped flying object in the sky over Fayetteville on the night of the fire. This was a rare UFO sighting. Witnesses described seeing a beam of light directed toward the Sauter home as if the object was lifting something. A year later, an unknown man contacted the Sauter family, claiming that their children had been abducted by an otherworldly force. He identified himself as a survivor of an alien encounter and stated that he had seen the Sauter children in a different dimension. When these findings were shared with UFO researchers, many believed the children were taken by aliens. They theorized that the fire was merely a distraction and that the children had been beamed aboard a spaceship. Another theory suggested that the aliens used the children for experiments. The radiation levels detected in the debris were linked to this theory, as similar radiation readings are often reported in alien abduction cases. With all this evidence, the disappearance of the Sauter children became a horrifying unsolved mystery. Connecting it to alien abductions and UFO sightings made the case even more eerie and fascinating. Were the children taken for experiments, or were they transported to an unknown world? Or is there something that the authorities know but have chosen to keep hidden? These questions remain unanswered but have fueled much imagination and speculation. Now let's dive into another case. In December 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers mysteriously vanished from the Flannan Isles lighthouse, located on the remote Flannan Isles off the coast of Scotland. This incident, known as the Disappearance of the Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers, has remained an unsolved mystery ever since. Various theories have emerged over the years, with many linking the event to alien involvement. The Flannan Isles are a group of rocky, uninhabited islands, often shrouded in fog and subjected to the harsh weather of the North Atlantic. The lighthouse there was crucial for guiding ships through these dangerous waters, and it required a team of 3 keepers to keep it operational. The 3 keepers stationed at the lighthouse were James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur. Ducat was the principal keeper, Marshall the second assistant, and MacArthur served as an occasional keeper. All 3 were experienced mariners familiar with the isolation and extreme weather conditions of the area. However, what was about to happen to them was a truly mysterious incident. On December 26, 1900, the Hesperus, a relief ship carrying supplies and a replacement keeper, arrived at the island. As the ship approached, the crew noticed something was amiss. The lighthouse, which should have been visible from afar, was dark. Relief keeper Joseph Moore was sent to investigate. Upon entering the lighthouse, he found it eerily empty. The scene inside suggested that the 3 keepers had left in a hurry. The clocks had stopped, an unfinished meal was left on the table, and 2 of the keepers' coats were missing, while MacArthur's coat was still there. A strange detail given the rough weather. Despite extensive searches, the 3 keepers were never found. However, during the investigation, Marshall's logbook was discovered, which contained a chilling entry. December 12th. The winds were exceptionally strong, stronger than anything they had ever experienced. Along with the fierce wind, strange lightning lit up the sky. December 13th. Marshall wrote that the storm continued, Ducat was unusually silent, and MacArthur was crying, an odd behavior for such an experienced mariner. December 15th. Marshall noted that the storm had finally calmed, but there was something eerie about the silence that followed. Unfortunately, this was the last entry in Marshall's logbook. What makes this case particularly creepy and connected to alien theories is that scientists and locals claim there was no storm reported in the area on those days. So why did Marshall write about a storm in his logbook? What did these 3 keepers witness? Many locals believed that supernatural forces, perhaps alien beings or a curse, were at work on the island. Some theorized that there might have been a fight or madness among the keepers, leading one or more to kill the others and then take their own life, although no evidence supported this theory. Adding to the mystery, local fishermen and sailors reported seeing strange lights in the sky days before the disappearance. These lights were not normal stars or weather-related phenomena. They moved rapidly and vanished, similar to UFO sightings. No ordinary explanation could be found for the sudden disappearance of the three keepers. The circumstances suggested they might have been suddenly taken by an unknown force. There were no signs of struggle, indicating that the abduction, if it happened, was silent and deliberate. There was nothing to suggest a fight or a conventional kidnapping. Many theorists believe that the three keepers might have been selected for some kind of alien experiment. The unfinished meals, stopped clocks, and missing coats suggest they came into contact with an advanced technological force. Based on the accounts of local sailors, some researchers think that UFOs could be hiding in the waters around the Flannan Isles. They speculate that the keepers were abducted by a UFO emerging from the sea, as the sailors claim to have occasionally seen UFOs near the lighthouse. Now you're probably wondering, was the disappearance of the Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers truly the result of an alien abduction? The mysterious lights, strange circumstances, and the sudden disappearance without any struggle certainly lend weight to this theory. So what do you think? Doesn't all this suggest that alien existence on our planet is real and that they are conducting experiments on us? This incident seems to be a sign that they are living among us and observing us closely. However, despite these compelling signs, some governments and scientists continue to dismiss these theories, offering alternative explanations. But the question remains, how long can they keep the existence of aliens a secret from the general public? This was just the first video in my series about alien existence. In the upcoming videos, I'll discuss more such mysteries that make it clear aliens are indeed real. If you want to stay updated with this series, hit the bell icon for my channel. And in the comments, feel free to share any creepy alien encounters you've experienced with proof. If your story fits, I might feature it in an upcoming video in this series.